Hello, I'm Charles, and this is Monique, my wife, at Word of Moors. We started back at House of Worship back in September 2011. We just moved to Mint Hill from Texas, and we had trouble finding somebody to cut the grass. So the first guy we came, he cut it one time, and he never came back. We never called back, and we got a hold of Don, and he said, "I'm gonna come over right away and cut your grass." And it was like late one evening, and Monique said, "Oh, he's not coming tonight." He said, "It's too late. He's probably went home and went to bed or something." Next thing I know, the doorbell rings. He's in the yard. He's done pulled his lawnmower off the trailer, ready to cut the grass. So me and him starts talking. And then one thing led to another. He said, "Hey, where you going to church?" I said, "Well, we just moved to the area, so really nowhere." So Don said, "Why don't you come with me?" He said, "I got a church I'm going to that's really different. You'll like it." So I ran it by Monique, and she was still kind of hesitant. So I went that Sunday with Don. He come by and picked me up, and I went to church with him. And when I came home that afternoon, she seen a totally different person to me, because at church, you actually walked in the door, you felt the love. I mean, everybody felt like they've known you their whole life, and I'm thinking, am I dreaming or is this real? But it was real, because when I came in the door, Monique seen me. She said I was a totally different person.
Yeah, that Sunday I did not want to go to House of Worship with Charles. We had talked about it all week, and he had been trying to convince me to go with him and Don, and he's like, "They're gonna pick us up and everything," and I was like, I just can't go. I literally felt sick to my stomach. I just was really turned off by visiting another church. We had visited dozens of churches in Texas, and we had gone in many of them and walked right back out. I wasn't raised in church, and I've spent most of my adult life running away from church, really, and Christians, and I didn't know how I was supposed to act. Am I supposed to stand? Am I supposed to sit? And anyway, fast forward, and Charles came through the door, and he was on fire. I saw the fire in his eyes, and he was so happy, and I hadn't seen him like that in months. And I thought, maybe I should go next week with him. So we went the next week, and I walked into House of Worship, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck immediately. And I felt like I was at home. I just felt this feeling of something taking me and putting its arms around me, and I just felt like I was at home. And it's really unbelievable when I look back, and I just feel like it was the Holy Spirit saying, "You are home. Welcome. You are welcome here." And I can remember songs and people clapping and standing, and I didn't feel out of place. I stood up and I clapped and I danced when everyone was clapping and dancing and singing, and I didn't know the songs, but I tried, and I just felt so good. And I remember the pastor Brandon, he came up to me and he's just like, "I hope we're not scaring you guys off." And I was just like, "No." And I felt so good. And even though at all those other churches, I didn't feel comfortable and I didn't feel welcome, I felt welcome there at House of Worship right away. And I knew that it was the place for us. And I honestly, I believe that being with House of Worship really saved my life. It saved our marriage, because we were newly married and stressed out and going through many changes, and we didn't have the Christian foundation to fall back on. And I got baptized there at House of Worship in the Holy Spirit, and my life has never been the same.
This church, Brandon is great about just letting the Spirit move. I don't want to be on no time schedule where, we got to be out here at 12. Who cares what time we get out there? The point is we need to be here to worship God, to feel the Spirit move, and not to quench the Spirit. And then anybody comes that's not saved, that's lost, get their lives right. I mean, the altars are always open, and I love that. This is not your average church, and this is definitely like finding a needle in a haystack.
I would like to just thank Brandon and Peely for forming House of Worship around some really great principles to really welcome everyone who comes through the doors, and just loving on everyone and spreading that love amongst the members. Many of us have come and we were broken and hurt from other churches, or just have never walked through a church before, and we've all found a home with House of Worship, and we're able to feel comfortable. I just thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Our lives will never be the same again.